crazy, where the past few days we just had like a few stories every day, and it's going to be like that most of the time until the movie comes out. And so it's unreal that the movie is coming out in 2 months, that we've been waiting this long, and we're actually finally going to see it. I kind of talked about this before, about how when you anticipate a movie this long, it's like you just kind of get used to anticipating it, and it's like, oh, I'm actually going to see it. You just kind of get used to just the anticipation of it, and so it's just wild that it's actually going to come out. And now we're officially in the total craziness stage. Like just about every day has like a few news stories on Narnia Web. So crazy. But big story is that there's 3 TV spots of Prince Caspian. One of them we've already seen that has Repeat Cheap in it, although it's higher quality now. And nothing really new to report about that. I don't really have anything to add to my comments before. But I'm just going to talk about some of the new shots that we're seeing. The first one has me pretty nervous. It shows Caspian, and it's from the scene. It looks like it's from the scene we've seen in the trailer, where he's kind of holding a sword up to Miraz, and here she goes, ah! And he like sticks it into the ground. And it really looks to me like they're gonna have a cheesy "you killed my father" scene here. It's like, I am Prince Caspian, and you killed my father. Prepare to die. I really don't want them to have a scene like that. That's so unbelievably cliche. This goes back to Star Wars, of course, and I think it's incredibly cheesy and inappropriate to have that kind of "you killed my father" moment. And it looks like it looks to me like he stabs it into the ground right in front of Miraz. I mean, I think in the trailer they probably want you to think that he's actually stabbing Miraz, but not for a second did I actually think it. It looks like he's gonna maybe like at the very last second change his mind, just goes and shows Miraz mercy. And we know, according to the IMDb reviews, it is a Telmarine Lord that kills Miraz, just as it happens in the book. But I think it'd be a really cheesy scene and cliche, and just a lot of other things from the book that they're probably going to cut out I would rather see anyway. There's a brief shot at the end of one of the TV spots that shows, looks like Caspian leading the Pevensies down Aslan Tau, and it's really nice. I think this is the first shot we've seen. Have there been pictures of this? I don't believe there are any pictures of the Cistern, Aslan Tau. The Cistern is an area of Aslan Tau that kind of leads into the stone table room, and it's huge. It was one of the first sets I went to, and the ceilings were over 60 feet high. One of my first thoughts when I saw the set was, like Aslan Tau, like giant Wimbleweather, according to the book, can't fit inside Aslan Tau. And it's supposed to feel like claustrophobic because they're under siege, and it's not supposed to be a comfortable place to be. And so I was hoping that the rest of the How wouldn't be so big, and I'm really relieved to see this shot where it appears that this is another area of the How, and it is more cramped. It's not the kind of place you want to spend the night, and I'm relieved to see that. Cinematography still continues to amaze. That maybe I don't know if you guys will be able to relate to this or not. Maybe you'll be like, what are you talking about? But for a lot of books, and the Narnia books in particular, for some reason I always have like one color that I kind of associate with that book for some reason. It might have something to do with, it probably has something to do with the covers on the books that I read for the first time, like what color they were, and then just I think, but it's also kind of affected by just the mood of the story. Prince Caspian, the color was always like orange, maybe a yellowish, but kind of orange, and so it's cool. So whenever I see some of these shots that are like lit by firelight here, it really does look to me like the book come to life, because I just kind of associate that color with Prince Caspian for some reason. I don't know if you'll relate to that or not. But the cinematography in Prince Caspian is just blowing me away on every level. And I think, film is unique in that it's so many different art forms coming together to make one thing, so many different things. And it's a very collaborative effort, of course, and every element adds something to the story, and you couldn't really take one element away. But if I had to pick one thing that really affects my movie-going experience more than anything else, it's cinematography. That's what you're seeing, That's the storytelling right there. And so I'm really delighted that Prince Caspian is going to have better cinematography than Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe based on what we've seen. And that really does give me a lot of hope that it'll be better than Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And even if they made more changes, I think just that the fact that the look just seems to capture Narnia much more than the first movie did. We've seen a few shots, there's a new one in a TV spot of Caspian riding on Destry, or fleeing the castle. And there's just something about it. And Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, there were a few specific images from the book that just visually had to be in the movie, and they really had to nail, had to capture. The obvious one being Tumnus and the lamppost. Edmund and the statues, the White Witch's sleigh and her castle and things like that. And they don't really have that in Prince Caspian. There's not like some specific memorable iconic image that I want to see, but somehow just the idea of Caspian, fleeing the castle, just the idea of that scene has always stuck with me as like a really important moment in the series, a really memorable kind of, not so much an image but an idea. It just has kind of a great fairy tale, dramatic, romantic kind of quality of young Prince Caspian, fleeing his uncle's castle to seek his fortunes in the wide world kind of thing. Has a great kind of fairy tale feel to it, and I think in the book, even the first time I read it, it just feels so epic somehow. This little moment of him fleeing the castle just feels so epic. It feels like a big deal, and I think it's interesting that they're shooting. I always imagine in the book he's in the woods. At this scene, at least, it's very much in the open, and I think what they're going for visually is kind of implying here that, and this may be true, that this is probably the first time that Caspian's really been out in the open, at least on his own. And so, before he's been in the castle a lot, now it kind of opens up the whole world before him. It's about discovering and everything. And so I think it's cool that they're choosing this, even though that's not how I pictured it visually. It's kind of cool to kind of shoot at least part of it out in the open. And this is a really appropriate moment for Harry Gregson Williams to just let her rip and write some really swelling orchestral score of, this is a really important moment for Caspian, of course. So, and it just, of course, makes me think of the Pauline Baynes illustration in the book of Caspian riding away, and it's also on the cover of the Prince Caspian book that I have. So every time I see this scene, I immediately think of the scene in the book. So I think this is going to be a great scene, and I'm really encouraged, also once again, by the cinematography here. But I'm disappointed by I'm disappointed that the scene, it looks like where Lucy, they show that shot again in a TV trailer of Lucy in the trees, and I was hoping that they were going to do this day for night, so that they shoot it in the daytime, but then they're going to digitally make it nighttime. They did a lot of that in Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I think you could really tell that it wasn't all that well done. But so I'm disappointed that shot, we're seeing the shot again, and it's still in daytime, and I'm really hoping, I think this scene will be so much better at nighttime. I think in the book, that vagueness of Lucy not really being able to see what's around her is really important to kind of this beauty and yet kind of slight creepiness to the scene. And it just makes me think of Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, where the scene where Lucy first got into Narnia really should have been at nighttime. It would have made a much more appropriate mood. I understand the reasons for it. I think they wanted to just show the contrast of the passage of time, of Lucy gets there in daytime, leaves at nighttime, and yet no time has passed in our world. But I think that it would have been worth it to have her get in Narnia in the nighttime, because it just would have set the mood so much more. So I'm still hoping this one will take place at night. There is some Voyage of the Dawn Treader news, a tidbit here. A.J. Aiken went to London, got to see Warwick Davis and Howard Berger talk. You can read that report at narniaweb.com on the front page. And Howard Berger said he'd be designing duffel puds, of course, can't wait to see them, the Sea People, as well as a handful of Narnians aboard the Dawn Treader. And this obviously implies that the Dawn Treader is going to be mixed up of creatures. In the book, it's all humans except for Reepicheep, and so I'll be really disappointed with that. I would much prefer that they would all be human, because in the book, and I would think the movie as well, it would just add to the wonder of what they find, of all these fantastical things that they find. If you've got the Dawn Treader crew finding all these amazing things, and all these fantastic things, and they're like, wow, and yet they're fantastical themselves, I think it's going to be hard for a movie-going audience to relate to that. And so I think it's really important that the Dawn Treader crew be mostly human. Yeah, they got Reepicheep. Maybe they can throw in one or two, like a fawn or a satyr in there, but it should definitely be predominantly human. I think it's really important for the crew in the Dawn Treader. And Dawn Treader is my favorite book, so really want them to nail this. 56 days to go. Overall feeling on the film hasn't changed much. Yeah, there are going to be some individual details, but there are many reasons, if you really analyze this stuff, many reasons to hope that the overall spirit of the book will be very much in the film, maybe more so than the first film. It was kind of missing from the first film, but there's reason to believe that maybe they're really going to capture the spirit of C.S. Lewis in this. And so crossing our fingers, 56 days to go.